Go.
My name is Micheline Hess. I am the artist and writer of the comic Malice in Ovenland, as well as the Island Cats of Congaree, the Anansi Kids and the All Saints Day Adventure, and I also do note cards, posters, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I was invited to come and speak on a panel at Diversity Comic-Con, but I also thought it would be a great opportunity for me to kind of get out of my comfort zone and get back into conventioning a little bit, bring my stuff with me, and meet people, talk to people, sell some stuff, and just all around have a good time on Thursday.
My name is Emily Reed. Well, I'm here at FIT's Diversity Comic-Con selling my comic, Anarchy Dreamers, which is an urban fantasy about sparkly undead kids. I also have all kinds of cool merch, and I'm just really happy to be here at my alma mater, supporting everybody and talking to students.
My name is Dionisios Kavvadias, and this is my first time here at the FIT Diversity Comic-Con, and this is my table here with my artwork. I'm an independent illustrator, and I'm not in the industry, but I work independently, and stylistically I use a pencil, ink, color pencil, marker, and I freehand. My drawings are all freehand drawings. Looking to do a Comic-Con this year, and this is my first one for 2018. I came across this online, and I like the theme, which focuses on diversity. The different group of artists here, different backgrounds and different styles, and just glad to be here.
Cristian Aluas. I have new comic books. I have this Big Boss comic, which was an Instagram comic at Big Boss Comic, and I've compiled it. I did one panel a day, 5 days a week for just over 13 months, and I've compiled it and laid it out into an exciting, action-packed 74-page graphic novel. And then this one is also new. It's called Camouflage. He's a Canadian superhero that merges with a spirit bear, and he and a conservationist fight bad corporations that are trying to damage the earth and nature. So, and this is like really high quality, mainstream, fun for everyone.
My name is Christopher Sotomayor. I am a Latino creator in comics. Work for Marvel and DC Comics, Legendary, Lion Ford. I've done work for Image, pretty much every major publisher in comics. And also, I'm working on a bunch of projects for Marvel and DC, a lot of which are covers, and I'm also doing a book for Lion Forge called Noble.
Bob Sodaro, I'm a writer. Ramon is a friend of mine, he's the organizer, and he and I have worked together on a couple of projects. One of them being that this is a book of Ramon's work, and he invited me to write the foreword for it, which I did, happily, because Ramon's a very, very talented guy. And I've been in the field of comics for a little over 30 years. First as a journalist and now as a creator.
I'm Karina. I'm selling my fan art, traditional art, and
Dennis Knight. I'm an editor for Pronto Comics, so we're here displaying our newest books that we have. We have action, horror, we have comedy. The Australia's our newest book, came out last week, and The Creation's also our newest book, came out last week also.
My name is Lynne. Ramon was graciously invited me to the con, so I'm here to show off my work.
Hi, my name is Indiraj. I am peddling my wares at Diversity Comic-Con.
Bun Leung, Diversity Comic-Con, just come trying to have a good time, show off my wares,
My name is Derwin Roberson. I was invited by the director, Ramon Gill, so I decided it's a good cause. I like the idea of diversity in comics, so I came here. I'm here selling my artwork, as you can see there. I am the artist, yes, I get that a lot.
It means a lot to me me because as a kid I grew up seeing very few characters who looked like me in comics, and this was something that while it didn't register with me at the time, it got to be something that weighed on me quite heavily, and so I felt like instead of waiting around for someone to come out with a comic that spoke to me like that, I would create my own for kids so that they could see themselves when they go looking for comics and books and things like that, and get a chance to actually experience what it's like for someone who looks like them to be having these great adventures and having fun.
It means everything, to be honest. Comics are this amazing world where there's kind of this equal playing field, and we can all make our comics and we can all be there and participate, and it's awesome. It's one of the most accessible mediums around, at least in my opinion, and I love seeing that there's more events like this. I mean, it's really hard to put it into words. It's just great.
Well, outside of just the theme of the artwork or the style, it's also the backgrounds of the artists, the people who have the opportunity to work in the comic book industry, people of color, people of different nationalities, having the opportunity to work in the industry. I think this particular Comic-Con reflects that. Each table has an artist with a different background, a different style to their artwork, and a different story to tell, and they have that opportunity to do that in the industry, and they have the opportunity to show that here.
Diversity in comics means that, that the superheroes are like diverse in the sense of like backgrounds, you know, like where they come from, like gay superheroes like Alpha Flight in the days, you know, different colors of the rainbow, and just like a diverse group of superheroes that all have the same objective, really, which is like to unify the earth and its people, and to preserve, you know, them and save people, and be good to one another.
I feel that diversity in comics and this show is representative of the push and the need for representation of everyone in fandom. There are a lot of people in fans besides straight white males, and I think the medium should reflect that, and I think by doing that it welcomes other people as creators and fans.
Diversity comic? Well, when I was growing up, comics were all white guys. They were all, you know, white males. And, you know, Superman, Flash, Batman, Spider-Man, Captain America, they're all white guys. I mean, yes, we had Black Widow and we had Wonder Woman, but they were very much in the minority. And you know, the comics I was reading, mostly Spider-Man, they started introducing black characters. You know, Joe Jameson, who was the city editor for the Bugle, the Black Panther, and the other characters that started springing up with as we got more and more into other. We started understanding what diversity was. You know, letting other characters have a voice. Not all characters are straight white men, and so. You know, most of the characters, a lot of the characters I write, I have a number of female characters and some diversity in the characters that I write, because, again, it's not just us, it's everybody, and comics should be all inclusive. So let's make it that way. And there are other interesting stories to be told, and not all of them can be told from the viewpoint of straight white men.
Diversity in comics mean everyone is included. Every race, every gender, and the celebration of it all in general.
It's a great opportunity. I see a lot of diverse representation of comic book culture, and it's nice to have something small and intimate where people can ask questions, like, you know, get more insight as to like what it's like in the comic book business.
Diversity in comics is very important. For me, growing up, I'm sure the story is the same for everybody, that they didn't really have much representation in what they were reading at the time. And initially it just started as me drawing the stuff that I didn't see out there that I wanted to see. So I didn't see any strong, you know, female characters that were being portrayed not in a sexual way, more powerful and stuff like like that, and that's why I started drawing this. I was drawing it for myself initially because there was nothing out there that I wanted. I did it myself. That's what diversity means to me, anyway. To basically have something for everybody. I want strong female characters.
Diversity in comics means everything to me because we're so used to seeing like the same old stories, the same old characters, same old this, same old that. With diversity you get more viewpoints, like different types of characters, different types of stories, things that like you never thought about seeing before until you actually see it.
Diversity in comics just means, to me it means that you're sampling a little bit from everybody's culture and everybody's insight, so you're getting a broad spectrum of understanding from different people's cultures.
Diversity in comics means different people with different voices saying different things. One of the problems we have in the comics industry is that all the comics are written by a small block of the same people, and so when they try to write something outside of their wheelhouse, it doesn't come across well. So diversity means everyone has a say and everyone has a voice.
I think it presents a really unique opportunity to present ourselves and to see ourselves in the comic book format, to see ourselves in those stories, being the hero and being included, being a part of the narrative, a major part of the narrative, not just a sidekick, but being able to drive a really important part of the narrative and seeing ourselves represented in the comic book.
My favorite comic was probably Peanuts, to be perfectly honest. As I got older, I got really into manga. I liked Bleach, stuff like that. And then as I got older and finally got into American comics, I was really into Runaways.
I actually liked the comic books, popular comic books as far as that's concerned, the Spider-Man, X-Men, Captain America, Thor. I grew up with the artwork of Walt Simonson doing Thor. But growing up, oddly enough, I was really into the comic lines that are out of the mainstream. Like Marvel had an Epic imprint, and DC in the 90s had a Vertigo imprint. So they had comic books like Moonshadow with John J. Muth and Jim DeMatteis. In the 90s, they took some of that those lines and brought them over to Vertigo, and they had Blood with Kent Williams, something like Sandman. Big fan of Death from the Endless. So those are the comic books that I like.
Growing up, well, I'll tell you, the first comic book I ever read was I picked up from a garage sale. It was, I want to say like, it was an Action Comics 493, I'm guessing. But here's the issue. It was like Superman, and he's being beaten up by Booster Gold. And I thought that was amazing because I already knew like Superman was like great, you know? But then there was like Booster Gold, which I didn't know anything about. But he was kind of cool looking. And then he's just like destroying the city and beating up Superman. I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh man, growing up, my favorite book hands down was Daredevil, but I actually liked all the books out of that 80s era, like Walter Simonson's Thor, the Vernon Claremont X-Men, the Ron Friends, Tom DeFalco Spider-Man books, but hands down, it had to be Daredevil.
Spider-Man. I was a big Spider-Man fan. The X-Men. You know, I had a very standard taste in comics. Of course, I read Superman. Batman has always been very cool. I like Batman more than I like Superman. But today, these days, the more I read comics, the more I read corporate comics, the more I like the comic books my friends write. And a lot of the people here are friends of mine, and I like their comics. Last weekend, I was at New York Comic Con. I did not buy any mainstream comic book there. I walked around the small publishers and the Artist Alley, and I bought comic books my friends were publishing. And I came home with a stack of comics that was about this big.
X-Men. Huge X-Men fan. Just that they had these abilities, they were different. And like actually they had to work together, like, to save the day. So like I learned a lot about teamwork reading those comic books growing up.
I actually grew up reading a lot of Japanese comic books. So my initial comics that kind of got me into is Doraemon, which I don't know if anybody knows that. probably not. But I did discover American comics sometimes in high school, and that was like X-Men and Batman and all that stuff. So pretty much the same, I think, for a lot of kids during the 90s.
Ironically, growing up not reading comics made me want to make comics, so I'm actually a comic artist and a writer. So I write and draw two different stories: The Misadventures of Buddy and Friend, which is an action fantasy comedy about three inept heroes trying to stop a demon invasion. And I do Sacrimony, A Tale of Love, Life and Death in no particular order, which is basically a fantasy drama about a single immigrant mother trying to raise her daughter in the big city.
Man, we're gonna be here all day. All right. I love reading comic books, right? And I'm a child of both cultures, so I read Japanese comics. Yes, manga means comics. People deal with it. So I grew up on the Japanese stuff. I grew up on the American stuff at the same time. So my all-time favorite comic book is called Berserk by Kentaro Miura, right? But a close second would be Alex Ross and Mark Waid's Kingdom Come from DC Comics, So as you can see, my art style is kind of a mix of those two things there.
Well, I grew up liking a lot of the comic books that most kids have enjoyed, like X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman. Those are sort of the staples that I grew up with. And over time, I learned to embrace other titles and other comics by independent creators, and that's where I gained a lot of my inspiration, by looking at the work of independent creators who took on the tremendous task and risk to create their own works.
Go.